I'm Ashley DeBorkin for Fox Lifestyle. What do you get when a state known for vacations legalizes marijuana? A company trying to combine the two. A Colorado company is taking a second try at opening a marijuana-themed resort. Its first attempt last year failed. Now the Mary Jane Group says it's signed a deal for Camp Bud and Breakfast in Aspen. Joining us to discuss this move and the idea of the business of pot tourism is travel expert Mark Murphy. Welcome, Mark. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Ashley.
So start by what they're planning here for this resort.
So just a small number of cabins, and you show up, and it's about a theme because literally every resort is a pot resort because you can go get the legal marijuana. You can use it as long as it's not in a public area. So you can do it whatever you want, but here it's going to be 412 acres, wide open, experiential, and they've got a whole theme, wake and bake, right? And then they've got the afternoon stoner. Then they've got the evening rush, and I guess rush hour there is going to be who can get to the weed first, right? So you're going to be stoned the whole time if you want to be at this resort. And there's only, I think, 12 cabins, so it's going to be intimate and small, but a ton of land to wander around and get lost on in that haze.
So they tried this before. Why didn't it work last year?
You know what it is? It's really taken off. So pot tourism is becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we've seen a surge of travel into Colorado as a result of that law passing. So people are taking advantage of it in the travel industry because they're setting up tours, they're bringing more aircraft in, resorts obviously are getting more people coming in to experience the destination, and by the way, indulge a little bit, and I think that is what's fueling this. The idea of having a themed resort, it's so small, I mean, it's a niche, but it'll attract people, and they'd have no problem filling it.
So then, are there specific laws and regulations for this pot tourism, as you call it?
So, it's a catch-22. Federally, it's still against the law. However, in the state's passed it, so they're at odds, right? Now, if you are skiing, for instance, you are most of the time skiing on federal land. So theoretically, if you want to go out and get stoned on federal land, you're breaking the law. And so that's where the ski resorts are getting into it for a host of reasons, not just that. But that's an issue for travelers. They have to understand, hey, you can't do it here, but you can do it in the privacy of your own apartment, room, condo that you're renting, whatever it happens to be.
So so there are obviously concerns over the dangers of this with the ski resorts right there. So what are the ski resorts doing in that regard? I mean, are they close to the dispensaries anyway? Are they promoting it in any way?
No, the ski resorts aren't promoting it. In fact, they don't allow it. But you're out there in the terrain. If you want to get stoned, you get stoned. And then the ski patrol will look for that. And they will actually go up and tell you, hey, you can't do it. I don't think they're going to be calling the sheriff or anything like that. But they do have that right to do that. But they're going to ask you to cease and desist. But then we have this thing called edibles. So how do they know whether you're stoned or not? And I think the biggest risk is, of course, it's going to impair you. That's a fact. Some people say, hey, I ski better when I'm stoned. Others say, absolutely, would never do that, risking injury. My biggest concern wouldn't be getting stoned and having the guy injure himself. That's on him or her. My concern would be that stoner coming down and taking out somebody else. Because as you know in skiing, a lot of times it's not you that causes the problem. It's somebody that hits you out of control. You end up getting injured. Now, if it turns out that they're high, you're going to be pretty upset as a skier if that just took a year off your skiing life because you just blew out your ACL.
Yeah, and have they seen evidence of there being, more, let's say, pot use while skiing since the legalization of marijuana?
No one has confirmed that, but my guess is probably yes, because now that the state says it's okay to get high, then all of a sudden it's accepted. It's like, oh, what's the big deal? You go into the lodge and you have a drink, and a lot of people will drink and then go out on the slopes. It's the same thing. You're impaired. So if they're going to allow you to drink, most people that want to consume pot are going to say, well, what's the difference? It's actually safer. It's not as addictive. It's not as bad physically on my body. Look at what happens with alcoholics and alcohol in general as a drug. It's very, very bad. So I think people will look at both sides, and at the end of the day, you've got to make the judgment yourself. But Colorado is a wonderful destination, and now you've got one more reason to go. I had plenty of reasons before that. Hey, maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll go now.
And then just lastly, because we're talking about these resorts, pot resorts, but you mentioned the pot tourism overall. So you are seeing this as a business. What other examples are there?
Just people running tours, bringing people in, promoting the fact that literally promoting pot tourism as a hook to get you to go to Colorado. So we've seen an influx. We've seen tour operators get in the game, make packages. They'll take you to a dispensary. So there is an active market for this. and maybe it's a lot of our senior politicians who grew up in the 60s and 70s that are booking those. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe they're not. But that generation certainly is looking at it, and the younger generation as well. I mean, we're getting a lot more loose with, you know, the rules, if you would, when it comes to drugs and alcohol and other things. And I think the travel industry is going to take full advantage of it if it's legal.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with the travel industry. And then also specifically this resort, if it works out this time, didn't last time, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ashley.
you being here. Mark Murphy, founder of TravelPulse.com. And thank you so much for watching for Fox Lifestyle. I'm Ashley Dvorkin.